How long do I have to wait? When will that police bomb squad get here? I can't wait forever.
Would you ever think that you would lose your head over a pizza? Story 1. The Collar Bomb Heist. I delivered pizzas for Mamma Mia's Pizzeria in Erie, Pennsylvania. I was 48 years old. I was into puzzles, my cats, and my quiet little life. Delivering pies around was a nice little living. It paid the bills and allowed me to live life at my own pace. On August 28, 2003, I got an order for 2 large pepperoni pizzas for delivery out by the old TV Tower Road. It was an odd location to deliver 2 pizzas, but nothing about it set off alarms. I drove out with the boxes like I always did. What happened next? I couldn't have imagined. They were waiting for me. Not for the pizza, for me. As soon as I pulled up, 2 men came out of nowhere and grabbed me just as I was getting out of the car. Their hands forced something around my neck. It was heavy. When it locked, I felt the weight sink into my chest. It was a collar. Attached to it, a crude, ugly box with wires, metal. It was a bomb. They shoved a note at me. Instructions. A scavenger hunt of errands I had to complete if I wanted to live, they said. Step 1, get back in the car. Step 2, rob a bank. And so I did. PNC Bank was 3 blocks from where we were. The police station was 7 blocks in the opposite direction. I had no choice. I walked into PNC Bank in broad daylight with that device ticking against my throat. There weren't many people there at that time, and so I walked right up to the first window and I slid the note across the counter, demanding money. Customers stared. Employees froze. I didn't sound like myself when I spoke. I don't know why, but I sounded like I was already outside of myself. They gave me cash and I walked out. I drove off. My hands on the wheel were so slick with sweat, but police were already on me. They stopped me in a parking lot not far from the bank, got me out of the car and handcuffed me, sat me down on the pavement while cars rushed by on the highway behind us. I told them, I begged them, it's going to go off. We don't have a lot of time. They kept their distance. I could see it in their faces. Fear. They could see this thing around my neck with its blinking lights. Nobody wanted to come near me. Nobody wanted to touch me. The minutes dragged. I watched the horizon for the bomb squad, praying I'd see their truck racing up the street. But they didn't come in time. There was a train crossing, they said the next day, in the newspaper. At 3:18 that afternoon, there was a flash, a roar inside my chest. Then, nothing. And that was the end of Brian Wells. Story 2, stabbed over a tip. We were living out of a motel in Kissimmee at the time. You know the kind of place. Sagging curtains that don't close all the way. Carpet that smells like it's never dried right. A little table wobbles no matter how you set it. But it was Christmas week, and I was trying to give my daughter something that felt normal. So I ordered pizza. Nothing fancy. Just a large pepperoni. I wanted to see her smile. The driver who showed up was young. Mid-20s maybe. Hair pulled back tight, hoodie peeking out under her jacket. She had that tired look in her eyes, the look all delivery drivers have at the end of a long day. The total was $33. I handed her $35, told her to keep the change. $2. It wasn't much, but it was all I had left. She didn't say a word, no smile, just turned and walked off. We ate on the bed, greasy box balanced on a towel to keep sauce off the sheets. My daughter was giggling, swinging her legs, humming a Christmas song she half remembered. I wiped sauce off her chin with one of those scratchy motel towels, and for an hour it almost felt like home. Then there was another knock. I opened the door without thinking, and there she was. The same driver, but her eyes were different, harder, and she wasn't alone. A man hovered behind her in the shadows of the hall, and in her hand, a knife. next few minutes are burned into me forever. She didn't speak, just lunged. The knife hit me once, twice. I gasped, stumbled, tried to shield my daughter, but she kept stabbing, 14 times in total. My boyfriend rushed from the bathroom shouting, grabbing, but the blade kept flashing. My daughter's scream still echoes in my head. I woke up later in a hospital bed, my body stitched, tubes in my arms, heart monitor beeping. My daughter was safe, my boyfriend safe, and the doctors told me something I didn't expect. I was pregnant. I hadn't even known. The baby had survived. All that over a $2 tip. Story 3, The Man in the Dark Hallway. I was 19 when this happened. Still living at home, driving my dad's old Toyota pickup for deliveries. The truck smelled like French fries and spilled soda, the kind of smell that seeps into the seat fabric and never leaves. I didn't exactly love the job, but who does? It paid for gas, for late-night burgers, and for me, it was easy. The night this all happened, it had rained earlier, so the air was heavy and damp. The streets were still wet under the yellow streetlights, slick like black glass. You know that smell when rain mixes with the old asphalt? That earthy, wet smell that sticks to your shoes? That's what clung to me as I pulled up to this apartment complex. It wasn't a nice one. 3 stories high, bricks cracked, half the windows patched with cardboard and duct tape, rusted AC units dripping onto the sidewalk. I remember seeing one light on in the whole place, just one, faint and buzzing at the bottom of the stairwell. The rest was swallowed in shadow. I grabbed the pizza bag, balanced the box under my arm, and headed inside. My sneakers squeaked on the linoleum as I stepped into the stairwell. The walls were painted this sickly yellow, peeling in sheets, and the air smelled like mildew mixed with old cigarettes. The order was for Unit 3B. I climbed the stairs, each step groaning under my weight. The single light above me buzzed, flickered, then came back, like it was struggling to stay alive. Once I reached the 3rd floor, it was pitch black, just my footsteps and the faint sound of dripping water somewhere down the hallway. Fortunately, I found the door, 3B, and knocked. The sound echoed down the empty hallway, sharp and hollow like knocking inside a cave. That's when the door creaked open, just a sliver. I froze, because through that tiny gap, I saw an eye, pale, wide, bloodshot like the guy hadn't slept in days. And it wasn't blinking, just staring. The rest of his face was hidden in shadow. I could barely make out the curve of his cheek, maybe the edge of his mouth, but the darkness swallowed everything else. He slid a wad of bills through the crack. His hand was shaking so bad the money fluttered. His skin looked damp, clammy, fingernails long, yellow, curled slightly at the edges. When my fingers brushed his skin felt cold, like he'd been sitting in a basement all day. Behind him I saw something, a figure, large, moving back into blackness. No lights, no furniture, just a shape. And as I stood there, I swear, I heard that thing breathe. A low, slow breathing, heavy, like there wasn't enough oxygen in the air it breathed. I tried to hand him his change, but he didn't take it, didn't move at all. Finally, after what felt like forever, he reached out with both hands and took the pizza box. His knuckles whitened as he gripped it tight, almost too tight, like he wasn't going to let it go. And then, slowly, the door closed, inch by inch. That pale eye never leaving mine until the last possible second. The sound of the latch clicking was deafening in the silence. I turned, heart racing, and headed back to the stairwell. Halfway down, the light above me flickered once, twice, then went out completely. I was plunged into black. That was it for me. I bolted, my sneakers slapping against the concrete, the pizza bag banging against my side. Every step I felt like something was right behind me, breathing down my neck. But when I hit the front doors, pushed through into the night air, and there was nothing, just silence. To this day, I don't know what was in that hallway, or who else was breathing in the dark. Story 4, The Man by the Woods. GPS is supposed to make deliveries easier. Sometimes it makes them worse. This particular night, the little map on my phone led me out of town, past the gas stations and strip malls until the streetlights disappeared completely. The road turned to gravel, the trees pressed in close, and the air outside the car grew damp and heavy. It was close to midnight, the time when your body already aches from the shift. My back hurt from leaning over the steering wheel, and my fingers smelled faintly of grease from tearing open breadsticks earlier when I thought nobody was watching. The order address was supposed to be out here, somewhere. The screen glowed in my lap, but every time I refreshed, the little blue dot jittered in place. And then I saw him, a man, standing at the tree line. At first I thought it was a deer, just a shape in the corner of my headlights, pale and upright. But when I blinked, it was clearer. He stood there in flannel, jeans, boots caked in mud. His arms hung slack, his posture straight, and his head tilted slightly down like he was studying the ground. The gravel crunched as I slowed the car. My headlights hit him full, and he didn't move. Not a wave, not a step, just waiting. I rolled the window down an inch. My breath fogged in the air, even though it wasn't that cold. My hand rested on the pizza box on the seat beside me. I couldn't hear anything. No crickets, no wind, just the low hum of the idling engine. Finally, I climbed out. Gravel shifted under my sneakers. The box felt suddenly too light, like cardboard in air. Up close, the man didn't look strange. Not at first. His clothes were normal enough, his boots cracked and worn. But his eyes, they didn't blink. They didn't move. Just fixed on me with a flat, glassy intensity that made my skin prickle. He pressed bills into my hand. Damp bills, like they'd been clutched in a sweaty palm for too long. His touch lingered, too long, like he wasn't ready to let go. He took the box with both hands, holding it tight against his chest. Still not a word, not even a thank you. I forced a smile, muttered something stupid like, "Enjoy your night." I turned, started back toward the car, but I couldn't help it. I looked over my shoulder. He was still there, standing at the tree line, pizza box pressed against his chest like it was something precious, eyes still locked on me. I climbed into my car, hands shaking as I shoved the keys in. Headlights cut the gravel, dust rising behind me as I pulled away. I checked the mirror once, just once, and I saw him, stepping backward, slowly, into the woods, and then he was gone. Story 5, The Child at the Candlelight Door. My name is Diane. This was my last delivery of the night, nearly midnight, and the roads out by the county line were empty. My eyelids were heavy, throat scratchy from too much soda. I remember the smell of cardboard filling the car, that faint, yeasty smell that sticks to you after a shift. The GPS led me to a little house surrounded by nothing but fields, a sagging mailbox with paint peeling, no porch light, no sound. The windows were dark except for the faintest glow leaking through the cracks in the curtains. I knocked. My knuckles echoed too loudly on the thick wood door. The door opened slowly, and a boy stood there, no taller than my waist, 7, maybe 8 years old. He held a candle in one hand. Wax dripped down the side, spilling onto his fingers, but he didn't flinch. His face was pale, expressionless. "Hey, buddy," I said softly. "Are your parents home?" He shook his head, but not in a normal way. Didn't say a word. I looked past him into the house. Nothing. Just shadows. Corners swallowed in black. The air smelled faintly of burned wax, heavy and sweet. The boy reached into his pocket, pulled out a crumpled 20, and placed it in my palm. His hand was warm, trembling slightly. His eyes never left mine. He took the pizza, turned, and walked back into the dark. The candlelight bobbed, flickering against the walls, and then the door closed. As I stood there, I thought I heard something. A creak, low and heavy, like someone shifting weight on old floorboards deeper in the house. I thought about knocking, but the thought quickly passed. I got back to my car as soon as I could, and I swear, my hands smelled like melted wax for days after that. I never went back to that house. Story 6, the empty apartment. It was late and I was running behind, third floor of an old brick complex, one of those buildings where every hallway smells like wet carpet and cigarettes. The carpet was so thin and worn down you could feel the wooden slats underneath with every step. I was a 28-year-old college student just working a side job for a little extra beer and spending money. I found the door, F12, and knocked. Inside I heard footsteps, slow, shuffling, coming closer. But no one opened the door. I knocked again. The footsteps retreated, then came back. Still no answer. Finally, the door creaked open a few inches. I leaned forward. The apartment was dark, completely empty. No furniture, no light, just dust and the faint smell of mold. Hello? Pizza delivery? Nothing. I held up the box, waiting, but the silence stretched too long. No wallet, no voice, no movement, just that emptiness. I felt a knot forming in my gut. My boss would chew me out for leaving food behind, but something in me knew standing there any longer wasn't a good idea. So I set the box down just inside the doorway. I'll, just leave it here. My voice sounded too loud in the stillness. As I turned to leave, the door began to close, softly, with no one on the other side pushing it. The latch clicked shut. Back at the shop, I checked the order. The phone number, disconnected. The address, not even in our system. No record of it at all. That night when I lay in bed, I swore I could still hear those footsteps, slow, shuffling, just outside my door. So, what say you? Which of these stories are true and which aren't? Do you think you know? Let's find out. Story 1, the Collar Bomb Heist, a pizza run in Erie, Pennsylvania that turned into one of the strangest bank robberies in American history. A man forced to wear a bomb around his neck and left to die in front of police. This one was true. Story 2, stabbed over a tip. A mother in a motel, a delivery driver who came back with a knife and 14 stab wounds, all sparked by a $2 tip. As hard as it is to believe, this story is also true. Story 3, the man in the dark hallway, an unlit apartment building, a pale eye staring from behind the door, and the sound of breathing from the blackness beyond. This tale was false. Story 4, the man by the woods. An isolated dirt road, a customer waiting in the tree line, clutching his pizza as he slowly stepped back into the forest. This one was false. Story 5, the child at the candlelight door, a boy holding a candle, paying for pizza with trembling hands before disappearing into the shadows of a silent house. That eerie delivery was false. Story 6, the empty apartment, footsteps behind a door, an apartment with no record of ever existing, and a pizza that vanished into the dark. This final one, 2 stories were real, 4 were nightmares we made up. And that's the danger of the delivery run. You never know what's waiting behind the next door. This has been Mr. Truth or Terror. Thank you for joining us. Sleep well, friends.